Hey, I'm Dukes on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store, where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Red Green Lands. A deck that I had as a donation deck list, thanks to Jide. Played a league with Ali to get some direction, and I've just really enjoyed the deck, so it's nice to be back and playing around with it. This is just a green-red version. I believe recently Rug took out the Legacy Challenge, which is pretty cool, playing cards like Flusterstorm and Otawara. I always forget the name of the blue bounce land that's in the same cycle as Beseiju, but it looked really cool as well. But I think just because I'm still a beginner, I'm pretty keen to stay on the two color kind of training wheels version of lands, and yeah, keep seeing how it performs. We've had some pretty nice results. I think we've had 3-4 ones, so the trophy hopefully isn't too far away, but pretty happy just to jam some lands and see how it goes. Not too much to say. Let's just get in and start jamming. Hope you're all doing well. To those on YouTube, a huge shout out. Thank you very much. Hey Panda, always nice to see you. Always nice to see you. There we go. Hey Angel. Two of the best. Two of the best in chat already. Look at that. On time as well. I'd never watch on, but I'm gonna say that when I hit stream, you guys obviously smelt smoke and just ran. Yeah, Tranquil's pretty old school. I think Tranquil's just my kind of card that I like. There's been a few times where Tranquil's come up. I kind of like it in a Reclaimer build a little bit better, as like a way to potentially get a Reclaimer to a 3-4 in response to Bolt, but yeah, Tranquil's kind of old school. I like that it's just 1 mana as well. There's obviously upside to running the cycle land that's 2 to cycle, but it taps for red and green. But I guess it is a tap land, which is a pretty big one. Bog and a Triumph, if there's a third color, is, yeah, probably correct, I would say. But yeah, see how Triumph goes. We haven't had too many openers with it, which is nice. Or if we have, we've had the Moxen, which is pretty cool. All right, hell yeah. This is an interesting hand. It has the exploration term on, but it doesn't really have anything going for it otherwise. It does have port, but without Loam, it's obviously a bit of a tough one. Like, the plan with this hand is kind of like turn 1 exploration, turn 2 port, turn 3 endurance, and then just try to ride endurance and Shadow Spear to victory while porting our opponent. I just want to go back to the main deck, because I think I really want to keep a hand with either Loam, Saga, another engine. It's really those two. And seeing there's 8 of them, I reckon we can go to probably a 6 that just does a little bit more. Alright, well, we have 2 lands with exploration and a Loam, which is pretty nice. So I probably don't mind putting back the Spell Bomb. It could just be a crop though. I think I'm going to put back the Spell Bomb, because if we want an answer to a creature, we have things like Blast Zone, Maze of It, Tabernacle, so happy to keep this, put back the Spell Bomb. Lead with Forest, Exploration, play Blast Zone. Yeah, I think probably a good mull there. Can also just like crop for a fetch next turn off the forest, and then get back 2 lands, play 2 lands if we don't draw a land, which is pretty cool. Just to start building up. Basic Island Pass. Ghost Quarter, okay. Ghost Quarter interesting, because if my opponent has Brainstorm, they kind of get a free Brainstorm here with a Shuffle. But I don't mind that, especially if we get to loam it back. This also might give us a bit of an idea on what sort of deck they are, based on the amount of basics they play. But Island pass into Brainstorm my turn doesn't give away too much. Typically, Delver has a more proactive start. Could potentially be combos, a few combo decks running around that play basic Island. But I think this Ghost Quarter should hopefully tell us a bit more about what they're on. Okay. Force negation here would be pretty tough. No. Well. Happy to see how many basics you got. Okay, 3 basic islands. I automatically presume High Tide, but this could also be like a blue-white sort of Stoneblade type list. Ponder, okay. Now the mind game here is if they have a Ponder that they keep, do they actually want the shuffle, thinking that we will Ghost Quarter the next turn? But yeah, 3 basic islands main deck definitely puts me towards kind of like a blue-white control deck. Could be High Tide as well. They are Guru Islands, so the player's obviously chosen these. Maybe for a love for the blue mage life. Interesting. We hit another Loam. Ah, Sneak. Yeah, it could definitely be Sneak. Very true. I wonder in that case if I want to go towards Rishadan Port. Sneak's a really nice, nice cool panda. Especially the Lotus Petal here. Do they get a mountain? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Petal was the giveaway that this will be Sneak. Yeah, tough. Alright, combo. I like the spheres. I like the chokes. I like the blasts. Surgical's always interesting, like on Show and Tell, but let's look at what we're taking out. We're taking out the Punishing Fires, Shadow Spear, Pyrite. I like the Needle for Grizzlebrand or Sneak Attack. Bog can come out. Blast Zone can come out. Depths. Ghost Quarter. Probably coming out. Mazes I don't mind if they're just on Grizzle. Tab is definitely interesting, but probably not where I want to be. Wasteland Saga. Yeah, Endurance is always interesting because if you put Endurance in off a sneak attack, or off a show and tell, sorry, then you can get priority with the ETB trigger on the stack to like Force of Vigor, Omniscience before they can cast a creature. Saga does the same thing, very correct. I wonder if this is a case of just trying to like be faster than them, but a lot of these are very control elements that it looks like the matchup is, wait, we play the control player. We have the Sejus, so I'm not sure if I need the forces. But the forces can be quite nice. It might be like +2 force, -2 loam. Or even an exploration, down to 3 and 3 split. And just take out the endurances. Endurance is also a clock, but... Definitely an interesting one. With the blast effects, I really like surgical. Like blast, show and tell, and then surgical is pretty nice. And definitely like the combos kind of... the kind of matchup where you kind of have to go for plays like that. We'll try it. This is a really nice hand. We have a turn 1 sphere. Or we have turn 1 Loam and then turn 2 sphere with backup Pyro. Let's have a quick think about how we want to sequence this. I think it is going to be turn 1 Grove, but... is the downside of not playing a turn 1 sphere just too big? Turn 1 sphere is pretty much a force check. Like, they have to have pretty big nuts to go off turn 1. It's like Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, Show and Tell, Omniscience, something else. I think we'll be okay. Saga and Sphere turn 1 is also quite good, yeah. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us. Oof. Okay. Other than like double pedal, we're gonna be okay. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if there are days version. Because next time we can play Saga, play Sphere, mana up for Pyro. Needle Sphere Yav. Alright, so here's Saga. Here's Sphere. We hope for the Force. Oh, okay. a second sphere. Definitely playing the port. And I think it's just going to be hold up Pyro, but there is a world where sneak attack is also a concern. They didn't have a force last turn. So I could just see another sphere here. Yeah, I think the best play is probably just port and also Pyro. I'm okay with them having this, but the only thing is that if we allow them to have this, we're not really doing anything otherwise. A land is pretty nice. Unfortunately, the needle's in the bin. Could potentially just be map here. And then we can hold up map and also Pyro here. The Mox... I think it's map, because map into Wasteland's also quite nice. But yeah, maybe if I am scared of sneak attack, port there is better to hold up with Grove than Grove Pyro. Tough one. Okay, that's a bit of a win. Oh, second port is pretty huge. I feel like port here, sphere is just better than port. It's 1 mana more, but it keeps them off at least 1 mana anyway. Doing this now before combat to get in the extra damage. Just want to keep him off as much mana as possible as well. But I don't feel 100% in control. The spheres are nice, but opponents made land drops. And next turn we don't have a way of... If we get a next turn. Oh, if we do get a next turn. Okay. Maze. Cutting Sphere? What do you play in place of Sphere? What sort of other combo head do you play? I think it's just going to be play Maze. Pass with double port. They can't Intuition, which is nice. Guess they could have like Echoing Truth. Hmm. They're gonna float and wish. Okay. See what they get. A braid. Now this is tough because a braid's obviously going at the token. And if they're getting a braid, I feel like they don't have show and tell in hand. We could port here, but if they braid in response, it's kind of useless. We could have gone for map on Wasteland. But if they're playing it smart and they actually have the combo in hand and just took a braid, so we wouldn't port them here, then that's a pretty big mind game. I think that I think because they went defensive on Truth into a braid, that they don't have it. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Did they just try to brainstorm for the extra land without having it in hand, and now they can't abrade? That's crazy greedy. That is crazy greedy. Oh, wow. Alright. Do I want to change anything? I'm not a big fan of the surgical plan. I think if we get to Pyroblaster Show and Tell, then we're doing pretty well already. I do like the Endurances, however, especially in a position like that, to put the Pithing Needle back into our deck to get with Urza Saga. It's quite nice to then not have to worry about other things. If we port in response to Brainstorm, they just float the mana, which they can then use. Pretty sweet hand, but no colored mana, unfortunately. Which it has turn 2 port, but I don't think this is a keep. There's a lot of dead draws, unfortunately. This is better. This is a tough one. We have Termon Sphere, which is awesome. It might just be the choke. Seeing that we have Wasteland and Loam, but if they go for basics, then choke is actually quite nice. Is it greedy to bottom a land here and try to draw into a third land? I mean, we do have Termon Loam to get it back anyway. I think that's okay. Greedy, but I think in a combo matchup on lands, you just have to be a little bit greedy. They go for a basic. All right. Land off the top is perfect, because what we don't want to do is Termon Sphere and then don't draw a third land for Loam. That would be really tough, because Loam is also our way to get to choke. So this hand has a lot going for it, but it all relies on each individual piece. Exploration. feel like it's still Sphere. And then I'm happy to pitch the Wasteland in this case. But there is a world where having the Besieger in hand is better. But we can, like, we have a world where if this game goes long, we have Wasteland, the Besieger, then get them back with Loam to then be able to use the Besieger. Graph Cage. Okay. Don't believe that stops anything, which is quite nice for us. We're just holding up the Red Blast here. Don't think Graph Cage does anything. I'm pretty happy to blast this. Just to buy some time. There we go. Not really what I'm after, but... Ooh, Brainstorm locked? Wow, that's huge. And then we get to choke next turn, potentially. Really want to see like a Ponder or Preordain here. Another Brainstorm. Alright, they find Mountain. Yes. Force Grove Loam. We're just going with choke. Days, rough. Magus. Yikes. Do we have an out to Magus? We took out the Punishing Fires. We took out the Spell Bomb. We have Endurance, but we don't... I guess we have Moxen. Does that mean we just start drawing? Yeah, it's Mox or basic lands into Endurance, I guess. Tough. Probably should have thought about Magus. Crop's actually quite nice because it does get us a green source. I don't need it just yet either, so I'd rather try to like naturally draw into one. That's not it. Besieger is just opponents, I believe. Yeah, destroy something an opponent controls. But to be fair, like, crop into forest does give us a second green source for endurance, which is pretty sweet. So let's just do that now. Come on, endurance. I know you're in here. Right? You are in here, right? 1. Okay, yeah, there's 2 in here. Okay. I guess I might as well loam. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. No idea how many lands they're on, unfortunately. I'll hold this for another Moxen. Opponent potentially with Cunning Wish or Intuition. Truth. What if that is Truth theme Moxen? Just letting my opponent know. I assume they brought in the cage for Loam, but just letting them know for future that it doesn't do anything. Yep. Tough. But hey, Magus wins games. I've definitely won my fair share of 7-point Highlander events with Blood Moon and Magus. Yeah, Sneak pretty tough. Especially with, you need a pretty good clock as well. In those games, we did have the port in game 2, and the Sagas are pretty good at clocking your opponent, but getting them is there. I think the big thing there was not having the 3rd land on turn 2 to cast our Loam underneath our own sphere. Hey Liv, thanks for the follow. Hope you're well. Yeah, pretty sweet hand here. Saga with Mox, also one piece of the combo and crop rotation. Tab could be good, could be useless, which is great with Moxen and also crop. Swamp. I'm going to say useless against Swamp. Okay. I wonder if it's going to be Reanimator potentially with end step. Entomb. In that case, I might not want to lose the Saga because I'll have to crop it away for Bog. But at the same time, we have a backup Saga for Thespian Stage and Dark Depths, which isn't too bad. There's a world here where I just play the Windswept Heath and pass. Plays around like Wasteland if they're on like a Wasteland deck. Saga's pretty cool. I don't want to make too many assumptions from just a Swamp pass. And getting a clock on board early is pretty nice. Stage. Okay. So now we just have the combo. Because we have Yavimaya in the deck, I believe. Yeah. So if we play Stage, we can float. No, we need one more card. Green. Unless we play Depth this turn. Because then we go green and 1, sack this, 1 in pool, get Yavimaya. We then tap Dark Depths and Yavimaya for 2 green, so we have 2 green and 1 left over. And then we use the other crop, 1 green, to go and get Stage, and we have 1 green, 1 left over for the combo. So I think Depths actually does it. Yep. Which, if my opponent is on like Tess or Ant or Doomsday, then it really puts pressure on them to win this turn. Nothing. Well, we don't play the combo not to go for it, so let's copy what we did before. Crop this away. Get Yav. Green, green. Crop away this. 2 floating. Get Stage. Where you at? Copy this. Keep the copy. Hey, look at that. Look at that. Opponent didn't really give away a whole lot. But I can only assume they're a combo deck, right? Fetch, fetch, basic. I'm gonna find you. No results. Okay. I think it's safe to bring in the spheres. Probably safe to drop Punishing Fire. Probably safe to drop Ghost Quarter. Blast Zone. Maybe pick up an Endurance. Maybe drop a Spell Bomb. Seeing the deltas make me want to have probably these. Shadow. Probably the mazes. 32 lands are still more than fine with the Moxen. Tabernacle I don't mind in case they're like on an empty plan as well. Might just be like 1 exploration. See how this goes. Was thinking Doomsday? Yeah, I could see it being Doomsday as well. Ooh. Combo, but nothing else really going for it. Okay. Probably just the Grove here, knowing that we took out Punishing Fire. Come on, dual land. Yes. It is going to be Reanimator. Interesting. Oof. Tough. I don't mind taking a draw step here. See if we can draw into like a Caracas, a crop rotation. Mox. Okay. Still not great. But here we are. Like, I would say this game is a 99 to 1, but we still might play it out. We've got 22 minutes, so a lot of time. See more of the deck, might even see like a sideboard card they bring in. But like, if I can double wasteland them and then find an answer for this in crop, I'd be pretty happy. Oh, nothing? Sphere. Honestly, second sphere here is better. Entomb? Sure. So I think we definitely bring in the surgicals and probably keep the mazes. Probably a good idea. They have like ritual into Entomb. I'll just reanimate. Oh, do we get a turn? Oh, so close. So close. Right. Blasts out, but we'll bring in the surgicals. We'll bring in the blasts, the mazes. I don't mind the Force of Vigors either, especially against Animate Dead. The Loams I don't mind cutting. Just have a quick look. Tabernacle can come out. Saga's still strong. Needle and Map is still good. I think that's just going to be it. We can bring in one more card. Maybe Exploration. I mean, Loam's pretty good. I think a 3/3 split is fine. Hand is nice, but just a little bit too slow here. Especially with no green card either for the Force of Vigor. That's a big yikes. No. It does have turn on crop, but that's about it. Crop for bog. They began with 7, so I do want to find like something a bit better. This is okay. But not great. It is 2 endurance, which is nice. So it plays around like 1 piece of disruption. Unmask themselves. Ooh, they're all in on it. Nice. It's pretty good for us. But they do have 2 pedals, 2 lootings to reload. So Exhume's really nice here because we get back the endurance for free. The question is, do I want to get rid of the Loam or keep the other endurance? I mean, we're definitely casting this. That's an easy one. But Like, the Loam allows us to... find, like, Bog, Caracas. I don't mind keeping the other endurance, but this is like a draw 3 down the line, hopefully. This is a tough one. Oh, but so something to note here is that they have a basic swamp in play, but no red mana for the 2 lootings in hand. So that might buy us some time as well. I think the Loam is what I want to keep, just to keep generating some sort of advantage. So I think I will just endurance, get rid of endurance. I don't want to put the Exhume back in the deck, so I'm just going to keep this like it is. We know about 2 lootings. Port is pretty nice. Port on Swamp doesn't do a whole lot though. Hey Wolf, very cool to see you. I think I'd rather cast the Loam, because the only thing we're shutting off with the Swamp is Entomb. And in that case, they don't know about our hands, so I don't need to play the Wasteland there. Nice. This is where we want to be. I'm going to port this turn. Potentially not. No, I'm still pretty happy to Loam here. Play Stage, because if we draw Depths... I guess we can't draw Depths because we'll be Loaming. It's definitely one of these because I don't want to show what this card is yet. I'd rather hide this as if it's like a Surgical. So I don't mind Taiga here to act like we have crop rotation. Nice. Oh, I meant to draw there, but Boseiju isn't the worst. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. A little bit of a misclick. I'll play the Stage. Yes. Oh, nice. There's some pretty nice hits. Play Saga. There we go. There's Dark Depths. Now I'm just going to hold up Depths. I mean, we have the token anyway, which deals 5, so pretty nice. I mean, Endurance there, just the key winner. And, you know, opponent for 6 turns didn't draw a red source, which is pretty tough, but we'll take it. Pretty funny. We lost game 1 with only red sources, and then we won game 2 because my opponent couldn't find a red source. What do you know? Hey, Ask for Alex. Thank you very much. It's cool to be back on lands as well. Really like the deck. Hater Binder was my first match. My first match was against Blue-Red Omni Sneak. Okay, we have turn 1 Exploration into Port, which is pretty cool, with Punishing Fire backup. We don't have an engine, but I think this hand is still pretty good. You're currently on Mono Green Cloud Post? Very cool. Oof, Chrome Mox, yikes. Well, there is game 1. Oh no, there's gonna be like a Blood Moon deck. Okay. That's not too bad. We have the Punishing Fire for it, but this is gonna be a pretty tough game because we get to get a basic. Go for Forest. Play Exploration. Caracas is pretty dead in this matchup, I believe. I could also bottom. Ooh. I think it might just be Ghost Quarter here. Play Port. And then I will see what they do on their turn. I do want to Punishing Fire them, not tap them down. But this is a tough one. Blood Moon decks are quite good against us. Bungee's Ravager. It's at the beginning of combat. That's definitely... I thought it was when it attacks. That's definitely an incorrect decision to wait. Yeah, now they get the extra token. It's not good. I guess like Tabernacle wouldn't be too bad here. It's probably what I'm looking for. They do have 3 mana, but maybe there's a world where we can get out of this with that sort of setup. Or like just Crop Rotation for Dark Depths. Pyrite Spellbomb. Okay. Honestly, I'd probably rather just draw a card off that. Maze. Alright. Unfortunately, this is when it attacks, but a man can hope. Yeah, what's Mono Green Cloud Post looking like these days? Are you playing with Seiju? And if so, how many? Luckily we can just return this and then 6. Maybe they have like... they probably float the mana there for Stomp. I guess it's kind of free to float the mana there anyway. Okay, we have the Caracas for that, which is nice. Oh, Endurance is actually quite good. Endurance is actually really nice. Just one? Yeah, a link would be sweet. I have Cloud Post and paper, other than the tab. But yeah, it's a sweet deck. So the plan here is to Caracas the Layla? Endurance the Angies, and Maze a token. I sadly don't have the mana, because I assume they'll attack. I won't have mana to not be able to play. I really want to get rid of this Angi's Ravager ASAP, so I'm definitely casting the Endurance. Oh, they didn't even float mana there. I meant, yeah, sorry. I'm just missing triggers here. That's really poor. I should have definitely hit this at the beginning of combat. They hit a mountain. I'm not going to Endurance anyone. I kind of want to have the Punishing Fire, and their graveyard isn't really relevant. They could have Fury for Endurance here. But yeah, allowing them to have that trigger is just really poor. Really poor play. And I apologize for it, chat. Rabble Master. Okay. I'm definitely tapping down this. The question is, do I want to hold up stage to copy Maze? I think with 2 cards in hand, so the big issue here is most likely going to be 1 mana into Blood Moon Effect. And I can't stop that if they have Blood Moon Effect and Soul Land, but they've already gone through 2 cities. So I think I'd rather just take the time here. We know that 1 card as well is Liella. Oh no, they discarded it. Yes. Yes, okay. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to take them off the ability to just play a 3-drop off off 1 land. So block here, and Maze this. Loam. Alright, there's the engine. I think again I'm happy to keep them off, and then next turn we can start producing double maze effects. Can also get a second forest from this Windswept Heath, which is nice. Wooded Foothills, sorry. Block here. Maze this. Go get that basic. Untap. We get to Loam. We hit 2 more Loams and a Grove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Oh, we hit the Grove, which means we have Punishing Fire online. Okay. Now we're looking good. Play Grove, play Foothills. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so now we can return Punishing Fire. Just Punishing Fire now. And pass. Hey D5, welcome. Hope you're well. Wow, they're going to give up. That's huge to get game 1. Because game 2 and 3 is going to be pretty tough. We do have the Force of Vigors. It's kind of it. Like, the extra endurance is fine. The spheres aren't too bad if we can play a controlling role. I'm going to take out the Ghost Quarter. The Caracas is fine. I don't mind trimming on a Saga, just because of the Ghost Quarter effects. Bajuka Bog. Needle I don't mind keeping, just in case they have a Planeswalker. I've seen a few running around with at least one Chandra, usually the 6-drop one, or potentially even a Karn package. Yeah, maybe the spheres just aren't worth it. Maybe it's just 2 forces and the endurance. I actually don't mind that. I just hope the hand is either Force or Punishing Fire. This is actually not too bad. It has Force, and then also Mox with Port or Maze. Leyline's fine. Stage, okay. We're going to be casting Mox. I'm probably getting rid of Yav here. Could be Tega though. Play Port, pass. Hopefully see them play like a Soul Land. Chrome Mox, sure. Guess Chrome Mox Soul Land is pretty good as well. Sure. Hey, Grid. Yeah, I've been playing lands, played 4 leagues now, and really enjoying it. I think I just really want to keep them off as much mana as possible, potentially take 1 hit. There's a case here where I can stop them from having the mana by pitching the endurance on these two, or going for the Chrome Mox and the Leyline here, but I think the endurance line of just having it to kill the Rabble Master is where I want to be. But these Goblin tokens are going to get out of hand. Potentially I should have also played the Windswept Teeth for turn, so I could fetch for a basic if they did play a Blood Moon effect. Yeah, this is just going to be way too slow. Oof. I think I just take them off mana, and then this turn we take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we actually just don't have an out. It's too quick. Tough. Yeah, maybe the keep was just too slow. Seemed okay, but the Rebel Master starts are really tough. Especially with only 2 Punishing Fire in the deck. Really need to dig pretty fast with Loam to be able to find those fires and the Grove. Don't have anyone locally who plays Prison Mono Red, which is kind of nice. I think enough online is the amount we play against online is more than enough. But yeah, just not too much for it. I think the best case is like we play Dark Depths, they play Magus, removing the counters from Dark Depths, we then Punishing Fire the Magus. It's probably like the easiest way to get a cheap win. Or even like Blood Moon and then Force of Vigor the Blood Moon. I'll keep this. Loam with 2 Moxen. Endurance answers Magus as well, which is pretty sweet. Shadow Spear on Endurance could just be game, which is kind of cool. Turn 1 Loam, turn 2 Endurance, turn 3 Shadow Spear Equip attack. The nice thing about Shadow Spear on a creature as well is that if they have a Goblin out and they have tokens that have to attack, they have to attack into the lifelink creature, which could turn out where we just gain more life than we take. Especially with Maze. I guess Loam is actually... I guess Leyline is actually pretty good here. If they have Leyline, then the Loam isn't as good. Or they don't. Or they go to 5. Loam is crazy value when you think about it. Like, we're just cutting 2 cards to Moxen, but then just getting them back with Loam, and then probably drawing 3 the other time. Hey, Spatula. Yeah, that's very true. Oh, and we get to play a land per turn? And play the Shadow Spear? Too good. What a turn 1. Blood Moon's more than fine. In that case, I just want to start drawing cards. Oh, okay. Oh, they don't have a play. Nice. Three mana. Okay. Ooh, okay. Okay. I think we can see what happens here, chat. You'd love to see it. Yes. Yes. Get on the lage. Yes. Oh, you'd love to see it. That's enough. That's enough. That's what Magic was intended for. To be fair, I think in a competitive match there, I wouldn't block. We did see that opponent was playing Dead Gone, so there is a world where they get to go like Soul Land into Gone and get rid of the Marit Lage, which we do have Loam online then, but yeah, there's definitely a world where we want to like make them do something else and then end step get rid of Blood Moon. So opponent could have had something there, but thankfully we're in the clear. Yeah, end step for sure. Kill speed runs? What deck are you playing? Like Reanimator? Tomorrow is my last day of isolation out of quarantine from COVID, so pretty pumped to go and get a coffee, because I am... it's a very first world problem, but after nearly a week of isolation, no coffee, no barista made coffee. You speedrun Tomb Raider 2013? Nice, that's cool. Do you stream it? If so, if anyone here is a fan of Tomb Raider speedruns, definitely check out Kvelish, I'm gonna say. Alright, up against Legacy Buff. Yeah, this guy knows the format. Like this hand has a lot of lands, but doesn't have an engine, doesn't have a great start. This has Loam, so I'm more willing to keep this. Probably just bottoming the Grove, and maybe having a world where these do something. Ooh. Okay. There's the mana left over. It's pretty good. Oh, with no mana left over. Yeah, one mana left over. Man, people love Reanimator. Just top deck exploration, no problems. Maybe some problems? Yeah, maybe some problems. Another wasteland. They didn't... yeah, I'm pretty happy just to take them off mana and get to a stage where maybe we can just crop into Caracas. Obviously, like, getting an Archon into play as well is where we don't want them to be. Sarah's Emissary. Interesting. Alright. Punishing Fire out. Blast Zone. Tabernacle. Surgical. Endurance. Force. Spheres on the play I don't mind. Pyrite. Shadow Spear. Probably a Loam. Probably an Exploration. Quick look. Honestly, Ghost Quarter and Loam. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, we have double crop for Bajuka Bog. That's not too bad. But then not much else. I think this is quite good. It's like 2 pieces of interaction with Loam as well. Opponent kept 7. Jeez. Oh my gosh, double Thoughtseize. There's a world where I probably should have just cropped in response. Yeah, definitely. It's tough now being on the Loam plan because like Surgical, Endurance, and Sphere are all good drops. I guess we have the maze for this. My only thought for like Animate Dead that have to have another Dark Ritual hand. I kind of just want to draw here. If they keep making land drops, they can also get towards like Grief. The plan is most likely to go towards Expedition Map for Caracas, return this to hand so we can start attacking with these Saga tokens. Hey Chuck, welcome. I will Loam. Surgical Endurance Port. Yikes. I think in case of Animate Dead, I'll just hold up Beseiju, and then I also get to hold up Expedition Map here. I do get to turn off this fetch land though, because they'll be going down to... I guess the map means they go to 6. Caracas. And then again, it's going to hold up this Beseiju. Running it back, I dare say. I think it's just the same. Yeah. I mean, it's got like the combo as well if we get there. Yeah, just have to fade a good 7. They've mulliganed to 6 cards. They've mulliganed to 5 cards. Opponent not happy. I don't think I even play the Moxen. I think we go turn 1, Yav into Exploration, play Maze holding up Crop. And then the following turn we can just play Stage and then hold up the combo because we can crop the Maze away for Dark Depths. And then we can tap it for mana thanks to Yavimaya to get 2 mana to copy with Stage. Grief comes down. They probably get the Grief back here though. Opponent with a lot of apostrophe, a lot of asterisks in chat. So we'll take that one. All right. I don't get it. They had 1 card left. I assume it was Reanimate. They lose the Archon, but then they get back the Grief. So surely they could have played on. We lose the Endurance. We go down a card. They get to look at our hand again. All right. Let's finish this on a high. Ah, they had 1 mana and no hand, yeah. Yeah, they had no mana either. Hey Map, welcome. My bad. That's very true. I thought they had 1 floating, but maybe not. No. Because they went Lotus Petal into Faithful Saluting into Grief. Pitch a card. 1 card left. There we go. I guess in that case, maybe I don't have to Endurance and see if they want to take the Endurance or the Crop. Because then we just have Crop for Bog anyway. That's fair. People can do what they like. They will not pierce the chillness of this stream. They will not have an effect on just playing some matches, taking our time, thinking through lines, thinking through obviously opponent having 1 card and thinking, oh, they have mana and Reanimate in hand. But yeah, definitely want to focus. Definitely want to focus, especially with this last one. A 4-1 is very different to a 3-2. Look at these two guys. OP and OP at the very end. Same length as well. Both 2 trophies? What is this? Interesting. I just love saying Tony's name. Tony Scapone. Alright, cash. Let's let it rip. Life in the Loam, exploration, keep. Still pretty good. Still pretty nice. Saga is an engine, Loam is an engine, acceleration in Mox Diamond, interaction in Beseiju potentially. They nearly missed their turn. Okay. Island Ponder. Start with Saga. Play Mox. Pitch. Grove. Loam back Grove. Force negation pits force of will. Okay. Tundra. Interesting. Prismatic ending. Okay. Maybe the depths was the drop there? Jeez. I probably just want to get Mox Diamond here. Pitch depths. Loam get back 3. They have 3 cards in hand. Nice. Play Saga. They chose to shuffle on the Ponder as well, which is quite nice for us. No, that's okay. Shark Typhoon. Pretty happy to go for a Loam here. We hit Wasteland, which is quite nice. I just want to make a dude here, so let's just go with... Get another Saga online. Dressdown's a pretty nice find. Definitely don't attack, because then I just get a free use of my my token. I don't mind Spellbomb here, as it's just a nice way to deal with Narset in case they do have a Days Undoing down the line. Wow, they let it slide? I did not expect that. Now the question is, do I really care about the extra Saga token with Loam online? I think I'd rather Wasteland the Tundra here than hold up Spellbomb. Might as well see what they do in end step. Shark Typhoon. I'm still pretty happy to take them off their one white source right now. We will Loam. Okay. I like the idea of Mox. Saga stage. Wasteland. Also just bogging them here seems fine. And probably just passing back. I kind of think now that I have everything, I just want to start drawing for exploration. Do I want to do anything? Don't think I do. There's exploration. The question is, do I want to crop for anything here? I don't think I do. Let's have a quick look. This does give them access if they tick up to prismatic ending. Yeah. Maybe there's a world here where I just go for it. Like another Teferi they could have, but like they can just cast any sorcery speed spell at instant speed anyway. Hmm. Happy to go up to white. I assume they only run 2? Yeah. I'm going to assume they're not playing a Stoneforge list, but it's nice to know about. To be fair, I should have actually dealt with the Snapcaster because it can get bounced by Teferi and maze this other one. So I kind of like this. Oh, there. So I kind of have like an L. Yeah, like an L, and then just on 1, and just like keep hitting 1. Yeah, really nice way to keep getting value. It's something I should have definitely thought about. I'm not too sure. I will 2 and see what happens. So 2 is pass until response. Yeah, so maybe 2 is actually better than 1. 1 is just, okay. Did all of these just change to be like jewels? That's pretty cool. I could stop them from drawing a card by wastelining here, but I think that just is pretty pointless. Yeah, pretty cool that it makes them into like dual lands. Guess Jace is a good reason to play the Wooded Foothills last turn. About Saga. So we like the blasts. I like the choke. I don't mind Force Vigor, I assume Blood Moon, but they could be on the Ruination deck, which would be tough. The Moxen can most likely come out. Mazes. I guess we have the Besieges as well for any sort of artifacts or enchantments, which isn't too bad. Saga's always tough. Spear. Loams are still pretty strong. Maybe that's it. Sphere's definitely interesting. I'm just not sure where it goes, and it's a lot worse with taking out Mox Diamond. But I think Mox Diamond's just a little bit too rough with like Prismatic Ending to Fairy Bounce. It's obviously a pretty terrible top deck. Maybe an extra endurance over Loam. Especially if I'm not going on the full go wide plan. I don't mind seeing how this plays out. Would love to get into a situation where endurance just does a whole lot of work. Potentially in the last game I should have actually just made more constructs early on to really get that dress down out of my opponent's hand. Okay. They ponder no shuffle. I can only assume it's going to be force negation. No. Okay. Well, now we get a pass holding up Pyroblast, which is really nice. Okay. The question next turn is, how greedy is it to just draw? Huh. So I could endurance myself here. I don't mind that. I could also crop the bog and bog myself, but this is tough. Like, the worst part of Surgical here is that my opponent just gets to see my hand. I don't really care about the Loam in the bin. I think that's what I would do on a Fizzle here. Like, is there a world where Endurance can just get there? I don't mind crop for bog. I'm just wondering what land I get rid of. And I think because I'm losing the crop rotation, then I just get rid of the Thespian stage for Bojuka Bog. We get to untap, hold up Endurance, play a land. If we draw like a green source or a red source, we get to hold up Endurance and Blast. Tough spot, but I think the 2 Endurances are a better win condition than the Loam itself. Oof. Well, that's pretty good. Take it. I mean, they're pretty close to Prismatic Ending, but still. I do like that. Saga's pretty nice. Nothing? Okay. Wow, that's aggressive. I think I still just blast this. Like, this gets rid of the Volk and these 2. Okay. Okay. That Daze Undoing was really greedy. especially with a choke in play. All right, let's go. Create. Oh, I should have done the other way. I should have done it with crop and red blast open. So I should have used the crop here. But I'm actually okay not cropping it away and just getting something else. Spellbomb seems cool. Play another Saga. And then I think you actually take them off the mountain, because if I take them off of snow-covered plains, they can still go like island and then 3 colors for choke. So rather just keep them off the ability to cast prismatic ending for 3 different colors. This is fine. Like, I could try to hide my hand here, but we have lethal. So, looking pretty good. Hey Ari, welcome. Nice. So we did see back to basics. Day's Undoing. Huh. Do I want to change anything? I could see like exploration being cut, and my thought on that is that if they are going to go after Loam with things like surgical, then we don't have great ways to keep the engine going to actually keep replaying lands and getting exploration going. So there is a world where if I did want to make space for something, I could cut some number of explorations. Like even just having a Mox in the deck to have as an Urza target isn't the worst. Especially under a back to basics, if my red sources are tapped and I need a red source for like a blast effect on back to basics. Let's see how this goes. Tough matchup. A lot of different things to think about, especially with holding up the blast effects. Okay. I'd love for them to start on a dual land here. Like Termin Exploration into Wasteland is pretty nice. Only goes to 6. We also have the combo, which is pretty cool. No, we don't. Sorry, I thought we had a Savannah. Sorry, a Yavimaya for a second. Stage could also copy the mountain if we want to get a red source going. Alright. Hey Doug, welcome. Hope you're well. Sure. Question: how does Thespian Stage work as a basic underneath Back to Basics? It becomes a copy of a basic land, correct? A little bit like Wasteland and how it can be fizzled. I think here just playing Stage and then copying this or holding up Endurance is just the best play. Yeah, I'd assume we get to untap as well. I guess we get to check here. So I want to get that red source in case we draw into a Pyroblast. Mountain? Nice. Oh, this now triggers. Now this is interesting. They have 2 cards left. I don't mind getting Needle and just hitting Flooded Strand. Mox is tempting as well as just another color. Expedition Map allows us to go and get nothing. I guess Expedition Map actually allows us to go and get Beseiju, so I think that might be the case. Yeah, map for Beseiju. Nice. Also pretty happy just to put the combo on the table. Two cards left. So this is interesting. They have 2 cards left. So I could either use 2 mana here to make use of the Expedition Map, or just try to go for the combo. It's really swords or bust. I think I'd rather go for the combo. Yeah, they have the Flooded Strand, but that's it right now. Oof. But no red source. Ah, nice. Very cool. Well, cool to finish 4-1. Going down to Blue-Red Omni Sneak, going up against Black-Red Reanimator, Black-Red Reanimator, Jeskai Control, and one more. What was it? Brainstorm? One other, but yeah, pretty sweet. Deck felt really nice. Lands is just like a pleasure to play. This deck is really cool. Unfortunately, I don't have the Tabernacle and paper, but otherwise, I guess in like little things like the explorations add up, which I don't have, and the Spheres of Resistance I don't have, and 1 Mox I don't have, but matchup versus Jeskai seems interesting. Like Swords to Plowshares and Prismatic Ending hold up really well. Teferi's pretty annoying. A lot of basics is also pretty good for them. They have cantrips to turn to their deck. Things like Back to Basics and Ruination are quite strong. But yeah, I think maybe maybe not as bad as I think. The Saga is obviously a pretty tough as well if they do have Teferi just to bounce it, which never feels great. But yeah, otherwise it felt really good. The only real flex that I was playing with was the Tranquil Ticket, and I think this could be something else. There are times where it's nice to be able to like cycle it and then dredge the Loam, but I think that a lot of decks have obviously dropped it, and I think that just having that extra spot for something else is pretty relevant. So I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, it would be pretty cool to try out something else. There's just like a flex land in the deck, but yeah. All right, guys. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can find me here. You can find me on Twitter. Here we go. I'll be back on Thursday night with a bit of a different stream. Myself and Granham are going to be doing some exhibition matches between Death and Taxes and Maverick, which is pretty cool. So I'll definitely see you then. In the meantime, I'm going to see who else is streaming, but hope you guys have a nice one. Enjoy your weekends, or your weeks ahead, sorry. And it looks like, is Wafo playing Legacy? No, he's playing Modern. Nice. I'll raid Granham. But yeah, enjoy everyone, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully come back to lands pretty soon. As I said, the deck is really enjoyable, and the lines are just so good. It's always nice with chat to work out different sequencing. So yeah, looking forward to it. See you guys next time.